The selection. The Manhattan skyline glittered through floor-to-ceiling windows as Maya Torres adjusted her dress and wished she were anywhere else, looking through a telescope instead of making small talk with diplomats and politicians, but her research grant required these appearances, so here she stood, nursing sparkling water and counting the minutes until she could escape. "You look like you'd rather be calculating orbital mechanics," a voice said from behind her, smooth and oddly melodic. Maya turned and found herself facing someone who made her scientist's brain immediately start cataloging anomalies. His skin held an unusual quality, almost luminescent under the lights, and his eyes were too large, too bright, shifting between amber and deep violet. He wore a tailored suit that somehow seemed wrong on him, like a costume. "Is it that obvious?" Maya replied, deciding honesty was easier than pretense. "Maya Torres, astrophysicist, and you're clearly not human." His expression shifted into something like amusement, though it didn't quite reach his eyes the way a human smile would. "Wraith of the Corthan diplomatic envoy, your directness is unusual. Most humans dance around the obvious." "Most humans haven't spent their careers studying alien star systems," Maya said, studying him with open curiosity. "Why approach me? There are hundreds of people here who'd love to talk to an actual extraterrestrial." Wraith moved closer and Maya caught a scent like rain and copper. "I've been observing this gathering for 2 hours, you're the only one who looked at me with curiosity instead of fear or opportunism." He paused, those strange eyes holding hers. "My government has authorized me to select one human for an intensive cultural exchange, 24 hours of complete honesty and connection. I choose you." Maya laughed, the sound sharp in the elegant space. "Just like that, you don't even know me. I know you published 3 papers this year on habitable exoplanets. I know you came alone tonight because you hate these events but your funding depends on visibility. I know you've been planning your exit strategy since you arrived." Wraith tilted his head in that not quite human way. "I know you understand what it means to see the universe differently than those around you." The observation hit deeper than Maya expected. Around them the party continued, but suddenly she felt the weight of his attention like gravity itself had shifted. One evening, she heard herself say, "But I want real conversation, not diplomatic protocols." "I would expect nothing less." Wraith extended his hand, and when Maya took it, warmth traveled through her palm and up her arm, electric and impossible. Something in her chest tightened, recognition of something she couldn't name. "Your people must have rules about this," Maya said, not releasing his hand. "Many rules." Wraith's voice dropped lower. "I'm choosing to interpret them creatively." Maya felt something shift in that moment, some decision being made that would change everything. "Then let's not waste time." They left the reception together, and Maya didn't look back, didn't second-guess. Behind them, curious eyes followed their departure, but Maya only felt the warmth of Wraith's hand in hers and the electric anticipation of the unknown. The night had just begun and already something irreversible was happening, something neither science nor diplomacy could explain. Maya Torres had spent her life studying distant worlds, never imagining she'd find the most alien connection right here on Earth. Everything was about to change. Breaking protocol. Wraith's quarters occupied the top floor of the diplomatic tower, sparse and elegant with technology Maya couldn't begin to understand, but she barely noticed the surroundings, her attention fixed on him as he moved through the space with that fluid grace that marked him as other. "Your people don't feel attraction," Maya said. It wasn't a question, she'd read the briefings, studied the limited information available on Corthan biology. "We bond through intellectual compatibility and genetic markers." Wraith poured 2 glasses of something that shimmered like liquid starlight. "Physical desire as you experience it, that's foreign to us, or it was." Maya accepted the glass, their fingers brushing with that same electric warmth. "Was. Until I touched your hand downstairs." Wraith moved closer, his eyes shifting from amber to deep violet. "Until I felt something we don't have words for in my language. Your scientists say our species are too different for this kind of connection." "Science doesn't know everything." Maya set down her glass and reached up, fingertips tracing the line of his jaw. His skin felt warm and smooth with a texture like silk over steel. "Show me what you feel." Wraith's breath caught, visible shock crossing his features before something darker and hungrier took over. He pulled her close and kissed her with an intensity that spoke of discovery and desperation. His mouth tasted like ozone and sweetness, completely alien and perfectly right. Maya pressed against him, hands sliding under his jacket to push it off his shoulders. He shuddered at her touch, fingers finding the zipper of her dress with surprising dexterity. When the fabric pooled at her feet, his gaze traveled over her with something like reverence. "You're beautiful," he whispered, the words sounding newly learned and deeply meant. "So are you." Maya traced the luminescent patterns that appeared on his skin, following them down his chest as she unbuttoned his shirt. Underneath, his body was familiar in its structure but different in countless subtle ways: the play of muscle, the faint glow beneath his skin, the way he trembled under her exploring hands. They moved to the bedroom, shedding the last barriers between them. Wraith laid her down with careful reverence, his touch tentative at first, learning, "Tell me if I do this wrong." "You're doing everything right." Maya pulled him down, showing him how physical intimacy could be both gentle and urgent, teaching him the language of touch and response. What followed rewrote both their understandings of connection. Wraith proved an attentive lover, responding to every sound she made, every movement. When they finally came together, Maya felt something shift in her chest, like invisible threads weaving between them with each shared breath. Hours blurred into sensation and discovery. They learned each other with focus and wonder, mapping new territory together. When Maya finally collapsed against his chest, their hearts beating in synchrony, she knew with certainty that nothing would ever be the same. This wasn't supposed to happen. Wraith's arms tightened around her, his voice rough with emotion that shouldn't exist in his species. "Corthan don't form bonds like this. Maybe some things transcend biology." Maya pressed her lips to his shoulder, feeling the steady rhythm of his pulse under strange skin. Dawn crept through the windows, golden and merciless. In 6 hours, his transport would depart. Protocol demanded his return. "I don't want this to end," Maya admitted into the comfortable darkness between them. "Neither do I." Wraith tilted her face up, his eyes holding hers with painful honesty. "But my people won't understand what we've done. There will be consequences neither of us can predict. Then we make the most of what remains." Maya kissed him again, tasting desperation and determination. They did, memorizing each other until the final moment when duty called him away. When Wraith finally left, Maya stood at the window watching his transport rise into the morning sky. Something in her chest ached with loss. Both of them had been changed in ways they couldn't yet name. The rules had been broken, and there was no going back. The awakening. 26 days later, Maya stood in her laboratory at 3 a.m., staring at data that made no sense. Her hands trembled as she adjusted the microscope, examining her own blood sample for the third time. The results remained impossible. "You're here late again." Dr. James Cooper appeared in the doorway, concern etched across his weathered face. "Maya, you've been running yourself into the ground for weeks. What's going on?" "Just a research puzzle," Maya lied, shutting down her workstation quickly. How could she explain that she could hear conversations 3 floors down, that she could smell the chemical composition of compounds without testing them, that every night she dreamed of star systems she'd never studied? Cooper didn't look convinced. "You haven't been yourself since that diplomatic reception. Did something happen?" Everything happened, Maya thought, but said nothing. Back in her apartment, Maya paced until exhaustion forced her to bed. The dreams came immediately, vivid and overwhelming. She saw metallic cities under purple skies, felt emotions that weren't entirely hers, anger and fear and desperate longing bleeding through from somewhere impossibly far away. She woke gasping, her phone screen illuminating the darkness. One new message from an unknown number. "The bond is mutual, I feel you too, R." Maya's hands shook as she dialed. He answered on the first pulse. "What's happening to us?" she demanded, not bothering with greetings. Wraith's voice sounded strained even across the vast distance. "Something unprecedented. The Corthan Council has confined me to quarters. They've detected physiological changes. My neural patterns have altered to accommodate emotions we're not designed to process." He paused. "They're calling it contamination." "And me?" Maya pressed her palm against her chest where that invisible thread seemed to originate. "These heightened senses, the dreams, I can feel you, Wraith. I feel your fear right now, your frustration." "Our species shouldn't be able to form psychic bonds," Wraith said. She heard something crash in the background. "The scientific literature says it's biologically impossible between humans and Corthan, but I feel everything you're feeling, your exhaustion, the anxiety you're hiding from your colleagues, the loneliness." Maya sank onto her couch, reality crystallizing into something terrifying. "They want you to sever it. They've given me an ultimatum, his voice dropped to barely a whisper, undergo neural restructuring to eliminate the human emotional responses, or face permanent exile from Korthan. I have 4 days to decide. The thought of him being altered, of losing whatever connected them, made Maya's chest constrict with panic. She felt that panic echo back through their bond, amplified by his own fear. "What do you want?" she asked, forcing steadiness into her voice. Silence stretched between them, heavy with impossible choices. Then Wraith spoke, raw honesty bleeding through every word. "I want to be wherever you are. I want to understand why touching you felt like discovering a sense I didn't know I was missing. I want to choose this bond over everything I've ever known." "But," Maya prompted, hearing the hesitation. "But I've never defied my people before," Wraith admitted. "I don't know what that makes me. I don't know if we can build anything lasting when our biologies, our worlds, everything is against us." Maya closed her eyes, feeling that invisible thread between them pull taut with longing. "It makes you someone choosing authenticity over comfort, and I know we can't predict the future, but I also know I didn't spend one night with you just to forget it happened." She stood, decision crystallizing with surprising clarity. "Whatever this bond is, it's real. That means something, that means everything." More silence. Then, "I'm coming back, whatever the cost." The line went dead, but Maya felt him, determination, fear, hope, and something deeper, all bleeding through their impossible connection. She had 4 days to prepare for a future neither of them understood, 4 days before everything changed again. Maya returned to her lab, pulling up every piece of research on interspecies bonding she could find. If science couldn't explain what was happening, then maybe she needed to create new science. The rules had been broken, now they had to write new ones. The choice. Wraith materialized in Maya's apartment 11 days later, using technology that bent physics in ways that made her scientist's brain ache. He looked different, sharper edges and exhaustion in those amber-violet eyes, but when he saw her, his expression softened into something achingly human. "You came back." Maya crossed the space between them in 3 strides. The moment they touched, the bond flared so intensely she gasped. Emotions flooded both directions, his relief, her joy, their shared terror of what came next. "I've been declared rogue by the Korthan Council." Wraith pulled her close, breathing her in like oxygen. "They sent Commander Thane to retrieve me. He arrives in 72 hours with authority to force my return." "Then we use those 72 hours, Maya tilted her face up, capturing his mouth in a desperate kiss. They stumbled to her bedroom, shedding clothes with urgent hands, reconnecting in the way that transcended language. Their lovemaking carried different weight now, each touch acknowledged the bond humming between them, each whispered promise defied impossible odds. Wraith worshipped her body with reverent attention, and Maya showed him the depths of human passion, how physical intimacy could be both sanctuary and rebellion. Afterward, tangled in sheets, they made plans. Dr. Sarah Kim studies xenobiology. Maya traced patterns on his chest, following the luminescent lines. She's been researching interspecies connections for years. If anyone can document what's happening to us scientifically. "The Council won't care about human science," Wraith interrupted gently. "They will if we present it to the United Nations first." Maya sat up, mind racing. "Make this public, make it matter." "You said some Korthan are pushing for cultural evolution." Ambassador Vex, Wraith considered. "He's argued that our species has stagnated emotionally, but he's a minority voice." "Minorities become movements," Maya insisted. 48 hours later, Commander Thane arrived, tall and imposing with eyes like black ice. He found them in Maya's lab with Dr. Kim, surrounded by data. "Wraith, you've violated 14 protocols." Thane's voice held no emotion. "Return now, and they may show leniency." "I'm not leaving." Wraith moved closer to Maya, their bond visible in synchronized movements. Thane's gaze shifted between them. "You've contaminated yourself with human weakness." "No," Maya stepped forward. "He's evolved, and so have I. We have proof that interspecies bonding isn't contamination, it's adaptation, it's growth." She pulled up holographic displays showing their neural patterns, the unprecedented synchronization. Dr. Kim added genetic data supporting compatible evolution. "The United Nations Assembly meets tomorrow," Maya continued. "We're presenting our case publicly. You can drag Wraith back, but you can't stop what we've started." Thane studied them for a long moment, then tapped his communication device. "Ambassador Vex, I'm sending you coordinates, you'll want to see this." The new beginning. The United Nations Assembly Chamber hummed with tension as Maya and Wraith stood before representatives from 40 nations and 12 alien species. Ambassador Vex sat in the Corthan delegation, expression unreadable. Maya's hands were steady as she presented their findings. "What we're witnessing isn't biological contamination, it's unprecedented compatibility. Our bond has created new neural pathways in both of us, enhancing rather than diminishing our capabilities." Dr. Kim added data showing increased cognitive function, expanded sensory ranges, the potential for a new form of consciousness that bridged species. Wraith spoke next, his voice carrying through the chamber. "I was sent to study human connection, instead I experienced it. My people fear emotion as weakness, but I've learned its strength. It's what allows humans to innovate, to sacrifice, to love beyond logic." Commander Thane stood. "The Corthan Council maintains this violates natural law." "Natural law evolves." Ambassador Vex rose, his voice measured but firm. "Our species has remained unchanged for millennia. Perhaps that's not strength but stagnation. I propose we study this bond rather than destroy it." The debate lasted 6 hours, passionate arguments echoing through the chamber. When the vote came, it was narrow but decisive. Interspecies bonding would be recognized as a legitimate area of research, protected under new United Nations protocols. The Corthan Council, facing diplomatic pressure from multiple species, agreed to a probationary period. Wraith would remain on Earth under observation. If the bond proved stable after 1 year, exile would be reconsidered. 6 months later, Maya woke in the apartment they now shared, dawn light streaming through windows. Wraith's arm was draped across her waist, his breathing steady and peaceful. Their bond had strengthened, becoming something neither could imagine living without. They'd become symbols, yes, but more importantly, they'd become partners. "Good morning," Wraith murmured against her shoulder. "Good morning," Maya turned in his arms, kissing him softly. On her desk, 3 more interspecies couples had reached out, asking for guidance. The rules were changing, slowly but irreversibly. "Ready for another day of making history?" Maya asked. Wraith smiled, that expression now reaching his eyes perfectly. "With you, always." They'd broken every rule, and in doing so, created something new, something that suggested the universe was far more connected than anyone had imagined. The future remained uncertain, but they would face it together, bound by choice and connection, proving that sometimes the most impossible things were simply waiting to be discovered. The end.